sports. I loved the competition, the camaraderie, the bands, the crowds, and I wanted to keep playing. But I graduated. No colleges called, and neither did the pros. So, to stay close to the game I loved, I decided to become a high school official. You know, a referee.
Interested in becoming a licensed high school official? Go to highschoolofficials.com to learn more and begin the application process.
Provided by News Talk 1480 WHBC.
The following program is sponsored by the Medicine Center Pharmacies. You're listening to News Talk 1480 WHBC and Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Now, here's your host, Paul White.
Good morning and welcome to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I'm your pharmacist, Paul White. We're glad you joined us. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Studio Arts and Glass and Genuine Appraisals and Liquidations. Today, Brad and I are broadcasting from our administrative offices, and our special guest is Pam Beller, RN, Director of the Aultman Acute Dialysis Unit. Good morning, Pam, and welcome back to the show.
Good morning, everyone, and I'm glad to be here.
So, kidney disease is also known as a chronic kidney disease. Causes more deaths than breast cancer or prostate cancer. It is an underrecognized public health crisis. Kidney disease affects an estimated 37 million people in the U.S., which is equivalent to 15% of the adult population. More than 1 in 7 adults. This morning we will talk with Pam about risk factors for kidney disease, symptoms, treatments, and prevention. We'd like to remind our listeners that today's program is also available on our podcast, which can be downloaded from our App Store or on your mobile phone. Look for Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy, and you can listen to any of our programs anytime. So, Pam, welcome back to our show. Take a moment and introduce yourself, please, to our audience.
Hi, I'm Pam. I'm the director at Aultman Dialysis Unit. I have been a registered nurse for about 43 years now. My focus of my practice for 38 years has been in renal failure and dialysis. I've had the opportunity to work as an acute dialysis nurse, a nurse in chronic hemodialysis, a trainer nurse in the home dialysis programs, and now being the unit director here at the hospital. Today, I have some knowledge to share with you about kidney and renal disease.
So why don't we start by explaining what the kidneys do?
Okay, your kidneys are 2 bean-shaped organs located in the midline of your back. Your kidneys are your body's filtration system. That means that they are cleaning waste, extra fluids from your body. The kidneys produce and balance chemicals that are necessary for your body to function. And once again, the kidneys clean and filter your blood, produce urine, produce hormones, control blood pressure, and keep your bones strong.
So I understand there's a link between COVID-19 and kidney disease. Have you seen the increase in kidney disease related to COVID-19?
Yes, we've seen an increase of COVID when we've had all the COVID surges that affects the kidneys. A lot of those patients are in the ICUs. Some of it is acute renal failure. Some of it is permanent renal failure.
So what are the risk factors for kidney disease?
Okie dokie. There are a lot of risk factors that we just, possible complications is fluid retention causing swelling in your arms and legs. Increase is your blood pressure, fluid accumulation in your lungs causing shortness of breath, elevated potassium levels in your blood, which is an electrolyte that affects your heart's function. And it can be life-threatening when your kidneys are failing and that's not controlled. Anemia is one because the kidneys produce a hormone, erythropoietin, that goes to the bone marrow to produce red blood cells. So there is a artificial hormone made that patients can receive, like an injection, to maintain their red blood cell counts. It's EPO, Procrit, Retacrit, there's quite a few of them out there. It can cause heart disease, weak bones, It increases risk of bone fracture because the bones become weak. It can damage the central nervous system, difficulty concentrating, personality changes, or possibly seizures. It decreases your immune system, and it also causes an inflammation of the sac that surrounds your heart at times. All of these can lead to end-stage disease requiring dialysis or transplant.
So, what is kidney disease really?
Well, that's when the kidneys show decrease in function to clean the blood of toxins and to produce urine for fluid removal. The kidneys will continue to lose their function until the patient is dependent on dialysis. So it's a long process. It can be slowed down, and there's some things that we can talk about during this session that will help slow the process. But once the kidneys start to fail, they eventually go through different stages of failure.
So, how about kidney disease? Does it run in the family?
Hereditary diseases. There are a few hereditary diseases. I would say polycystic kidneys is the most popular because if one parent has polycystic kidneys, they will pass the gene on to 50% of their children. They'll have a 50% chance of having the altered gene in their child. So if they have 3 children, each child has a 50% chance to obtain that gene. Then there's a couple diseases like Alport syndromes, cystinosis, Fabry's disease, tuberous sclerosis complex. These are all genetically dysfunction or diseases that come from being passed on from a parent. And they are like 200, there's like less than 200,000 per year in the US that will get these type of diseases. So actually hereditary is not something we see a lot of except for the polycystic. That is a very high ratio to become a polycystic kidney.
Okay, so what causes kidney disease then?
Okay, the 2 top causes in this country are type 1 or type 2 diabetes, hypertension, which is high blood pressure. The control of your diabetes and not controlling your hypertension are the reasons for the kidneys to fail. Other causes can be inflammation of filtering parts, tubules, and surrounding structures. Hereditary, like I said, was the polycystic and inherited kidney diseases. Prolonged obstruction of the urinary tract system happens, and recurrent kidney infections can damage the kidneys. But the main 2 reasons, whenever we're working with our patients out there, I would say 95% of them are diabetic, or 95% of them have had a hypertension that was not controlled over the years.
How large are the kidneys?
Oh, they're about the size of your fist. They're not, real big, but they're protected by the rib cage in your back line.
Amazing. Okay, so we tend to associate fluid intake and kidney function. How much water should we drink to maintain healthy kidneys? And does the type of beverage affect your kidney health? Like, should we be drinking carbonated beverages, etc.? Caffeine,
Yeah, well, the healthy kidneys produce 1 to 2 liters of urine daily. So drinking 2 to 3 liters daily of water is recommended. Individuals who have kidney disease or have congestive heart failure may show signs of fluid retention. They would require fluid intake under the guidance of their physician so that they don't get fluid overloaded and cause more damage to the heart or the kidneys, or retaining fluid, which causes shortness of breath. Water is the top priority of fluid, but I'm sure other people drink, many other fluids, but water is the choice.
But what about lots of coffee and things of that line?
Well, with coffee, you've got your caffeine. Carbonated is not good for the kidneys, the process for it. Any drinks that are high in sodium, there are a few out there that are high in sodium that can cause fluid retention also.
Wow. Okay, Pam, we're on our first break. You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
Transfer your prescriptions to the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Hi, this is Paul White from the Medicine Center Pharmacies. Are you looking for the personal touch from your pharmacist and pharmacy staff? Do you need home delivery or custom packaging to simplify a complex medication schedule? Look no further than the Medicine Center Pharmacies in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia. Bring in your prescription bottles, and we can transfer your prescriptions to the Medicine Center today, where wellness begins. Hi, Paul White from the Medicine Center Pharmacy. In these difficult days, please stay calm and make sure your medical and healthcare supplies are well stocked. Make sure you have Kleenex, acetaminophen or Tylenol, ibuprofen or Advil, Mucinex, Robitussin or Dayquil, cough drops, maybe even a humidifier or a vaporizer. You can also just turn the shower on hot and sit in the bathroom breathing in the steam. How about vitamin D and a probiotic? So take care of yourselves and don't stress about the coronavirus. Make sure you get plenty of rest and plenty of healthy food. The Medicine Center Pharmacy, Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia.
Spring has sprung at Studio Arts and Glass. The hummingbirds will return, and Studio Arts and Glass has the feeders. Wind chimes, felt birdhouses, and garden art all make great gifts. Are you going to the beach? Then you need sea glass. Sterling silver and sea glass necklaces, earrings, and bracelets. Studio Arts and Glass open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6 on Apple Grove and 77 in North Canton. StudioArtsandGlass.com.
Hi, Paul White from the Medicine Center Pharmacy. If you haven't gotten your COVID vaccine shot yet, you've got to get to the Medicine Center Pharmacies in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, or New Philadelphia. We are waiting for you and have vaccine. Call or stop in your closest Medicine Center Pharmacy, and we'll take care of you. Getting a COVID vaccine will save you from getting very sick. So hurry and get on with protecting yourself. The Medicine Center Pharmacies in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia.
You're listening to News Talk 1480 WHBC and Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Now, here's your host, Paul White.
Welcome back to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Do you know we offer free prescription delivery? Call your Medicine Center Pharmacy to learn about our prescription delivery program.
Hi, Pam. I think we've overcome some technical difficulties, so I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, I
Wonderful.
can hear you.
All right. Okay. Well, welcome to the show. A little late, but so I wanted to ask you about symptoms or signs that might alert us to potential kidney disease.
Okay. You can have kidney disease and not know it until you might develop symptoms like change in the amounts of urination that you have, swelling of your face, hands, and feet, shortness of breath, because the fluid is not accumulated in the hands and the feet, but it can accumulate in your lungs, also around the sac and your heart. So if you have any of those shortness of breath, that would be like congestive heart failure type symptoms. A lot of people will get fatigue, exhaustion, weakness, low energy. I have seen a skin rash at times, nausea and vomiting from the toxins in the blood system, feeling cold because they're anemic and they're getting blood supply circulating, especially uncontrollable high blood pressure that's not controllable, dizziness. And I've had some patients mention that they had like a metallic taste in their mouth at times. So signs and symptoms of the kidney disease are often nonspecific. Everybody's different. These symptoms can also be caused by other illnesses. Your kidneys can make up for lost function, Your signs and symptoms may not be noticeable until irreversible damage has occurred. So talk with your physician, inquire what your kidney numbers are, which are important. And these numbers are obtained by just some simple blood tests for them to evaluate.
Did you mention protein in the urine? Is that?
No. Well, what they look at whenever they do the blood testing, they do a creatinine testing. They do a BUN, which is the toxins, and they do hemoglobin, and they also do a lot of urine analysis test to check everything, protein, all those different things. They do the whole spiel. And sometimes they will go to, if they think the kidneys are failing or whatever, sometimes they will do some kidney biopsies. But that's not until later on in the disease process that they do that. Mostly everything's done by urine and blood testing.
Okay.
What should we be doing to keep our kidneys healthy, Pam?
Okay, let's help ourselves in not developing kidney disease. A lot of people do not know when taking over-the-counter medications, follow the instructions on the bottles. Using non-prescription pain relievers such as aspirin, ibuprofen, which is Advil, Motrin, Tylenol, make sure you're following the instructions. Taking too many pain relievers for long periods of time can lead to kidney damage on that. Maintain a healthy weight. Be physically active most days of the week. If you need to lose weight, talk with your physician about strategies for healthy weight loss. Restricting salt intake. If we don't restrict our salt intake, it leads us to hypertension, which is high blood pressure, which needs to be under control because it does damage the arteries to the kidneys. Don't smoke. Smoking can damage your kidneys and make existing kidney damage worse. Talk to your physician about quitting smoking. Manage your medical conditions with your physician's help, like your diabetes and your hypertension or any other things that you have going on, any cardiac issues. Make sure you're following what your medical doctor is telling you. By controlling these, you can decrease that progress of kidney disease.
All right. You mentioned blood tests a little bit ago. Is that one of the methods for diagnosis of kidney disease, or are there other methods?
Yes. That's done by your kidney numbers. They're very simple. They're blood tests, creatinine, your BUN, hemoglobin, and a urine analysis test. That's basically what we look at here. Whenever patients start with some renal failure, we look at what potassium levels are. Those can be elevated, which is showing us that the patient is having some renal function problems. The BUN is high, which the toxins are high, which can cause the patient to be nauseated and vomiting. And the hemoglobin, decrease in hemoglobin, the kidneys are not producing the erythropoietin hormone.
All right. So if we have been diagnosed with kidney disease, what are the treatment options?
Okay, treatment options. First of all, the first thing we want to do is early detection of the renal disease. We want to focus on the progression of the damage to the kidneys. So if you have been diagnosed that your kidney are not functioning at full force, it is good to be recommended or sent to a nephrologist who can keep track of the patient in their lab work and their blood pressures. They also take care of the hypertension and help with the diabetes with the other doctors. Controlling the cause of kidney disease, especially that diabetes and hypertension, is the biggest. Once an end-stage renal hemodialysis, where your blood is run through a filter, we call it filter kidney, to remove fluids and toxins to return you to hopefully a functional state at that time. There is in-center or home therapy, and peritoneal dialysis is a home therapy. That's where a tubing is placed in the into the abdomen, into the peritoneal cavity, where fluid is exchanged back and forth, and that That peritoneal membrane works just like your kidneys do. It's a very natural type of dialysis. And it does fluid removal and replaces, maybe your potassium is low, it replaces that potassium to make it a normal reading for your blood stream. And then there is transplant.
You know, when you tick through the options of how treatment can be done, it really is amazing what our bodies do that we take for granted on a daily basis. So it really is amazing. You know, so how about diet? You touched on salt and some other things, but how can appropriate diet help with kidney disease?
Well, one thing is diabetics keeping their diabetes under control, and that's done by diet. Basically, seeing a dietitian, following what you need to do. People with hypertension, low salt intake. Really, you can have your physician order a dietitian to see you, and a dietitian will take your lab work. They'll talk to the physician, and everything will be evaluated. Everybody is a little bit different. We've got to watch. You know, we have to make sure that the patient gets enough protein. And I know protein's one of the things that they always used to say, you know, you can only have so much protein. Nowadays, you know, you need that protein to build your immune system. So that is evaluated by the dietitian. How much would be a good volume for you to intake for you to keep it under control, but not cause more damage to the kidneys.
So you mentioned damage to the kidneys. Let's talk about kidney failure. What is kidney failure?
Okay. Kidney failure is when the kidneys start to decrease their function. And there are 5 stages of kidney failure. It's not based on symptoms alone. The blood test, like I said, the GFR is one of the urine testing that they do and blood testing that they do to see how much the kidneys are functioning at that time. So the stages are like stage 1 is a normal function kidney. Stage 2 is mild difference in how the kidney is functioning. Then you go to a stage 3, which is moderate. Stage 4, you're getting into the severe part where you may be seeing high potassium levels, the patient with nausea, vomiting, the symptoms are getting worse. And stage 5 is what we call end-stage renal disease, which you will need to have some type of dialysis or transplant at that point. And all those things, what cause it is, I would say there is some hereditary diseases out there, but mainly hypertension and diabetes are the top 2 causes mostly.
So we have no specific disorders out there that do in fact cause kidney failure. That's kind of surprising to hear.
There are genetic ones, but they're so rare. I read up on them a while ago. They're very rare. Like I said, I've seen polycystic, but I would say diabetes and hypertension is where we see the patients come in. Now, there are things like if the patient has an x-ray and would be allergic to the dye, that would be what we call acute kidney injury. And by doing dialysis, we can give the kidneys a rest and they can recover from that. There are things, the same with the COVID. 1/3 of those patients down in the ICU with COVID did have renal failure. And some of them did. It was just acute. Some of them did bounce back after they gave the kidneys a rest. But the majority, a lot of them were permanent damage to the kidneys. But it had a lot to do with your underlying problems. If you were already a diabetic, got COVID, and then you went into renal failure, your kidneys coming back was kind of more or less of a chance they wouldn't. And hypertension and all the things that go on, you know, with it. So, but the patients out there, I mean, we always say, you know, are you diabetic? Chances of them saying, no, I'm not a diabetic is like, wow, you know, diabetes, I will say, is the problem, and people that have not controlled their hypertension.
Okay, Pam, it's the bottom of the hour. Time for the news. Thanks for joining us this morning on Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
WHBC AM Canton, reliable as ever on News Talk 1480 WHBC.
WHBC News now 44 degrees. Stark County topped the 80,000 mark for total coronavirus cases since the pandemic started. In yesterday's weekly report, there were 188 new cases, taking the total to 80,137. State reporting over 8,700 new cases for the last week, up 27% from the week before. But new hospitalizations up just about 10% to 358 new hospitalizations. Stark County's air greatly improved from decades ago, but still worthy of just a C in the latest American Lung Association State of the Air report. The association looks at ozone and particle pollution from 2018 to 2020 in the latest report. Regional Director of Advocacy for the Lung Association, Ken Fletcher, says certain populations need to keep updated on local air alerts.
Especially those who are sick or ill with, asthma, COPD, lung cancer, those who are pregnant, those who are elderly, those who are young, really have to, think about whether or not they want to be outside and be exposed to that air.
7 counties in Ohio did get F grades. They are mainly in the immediate Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Toledo areas. Particle pollution 7 times lower, ozone 40 times lower than its peak levels many years ago in Stark County. Killed in Ukraine. The difference for this American, though, he was fighting against Russia when he died.
22-year-old Marine veteran Willie Joseph Cancel died fighting alongside Ukrainian forces. He leaves behind his wife and a 7-month-old son. His wife says her husband was a hero, and all she wants is for him to come home and be given a proper burial.
Fox's Matt Finn is in western Ukraine, Cancel from just north of New York City. As the primary campaign winds down, J.D. Vance, who hopes to become the Republican nominee for Rob Portman's U.S. Senate seat next Tuesday, will be in North Canton tomorrow morning. He'll appear at the Fultz Community Center along with Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. And another bump in gasoline prices over the last 24 hours. AAA says the average price for Stark County this morning up to $3.93 a gallon. Your next news coming up at 10, and when it breaks, Jim Michaels, WHBC News.
Hi, Paul White from the Medicine Center Pharmacy. In these difficult days, please stay calm and make sure your medical and healthcare supplies are well stocked. Make sure you have Kleenex, acetaminophen or Tylenol, ibuprofen or Advil, Mucinex, Robitussin or Dayquil, cough drops, maybe even a humidifier or a vaporizer. You can also just turn the shower on hot and sit in the bathroom breathing in the steam. How about vitamin D and a probiotic? So take care of yourselves and don't stress about the coronavirus. Make sure you get plenty of rest and plenty of healthy food. The Medicine Center Pharmacy, Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia. Saving money is awesome. Saving money on items you actually use? Fantastic. Hi, Paul White for the Half Off and Out By store in Louisville. If you think you'll find the same low prices, huge variety, or great customer service at any other store, you'd be wrong. Stop into our store in Louisville and see what great deals we have. Follow us on our Facebook page at Half Off Store to see super specials. Why pay full price? Come in and experience the Half Off and Out By store in Louisville, next to the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
Your severe weather station, News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Here's your Accuweather Forecast. Plenty of sun for today. Our high 63. Clear skies tonight, low 43. Partly sunny for tomorrow, the high at 66. And then for tomorrow night, it'll be cloudy, some rain, and a low 54. Clouds and heavy showers on Sunday morning, followed by some rain in the afternoon, the high 68. Partly sunny for Monday, the high 69. Clouds and rain back on Tuesday, the high at 72. I'm Steve Williams for News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Spring has sprung at Studio Arts and Glass. The hummingbirds will return, and Studio Arts and Glass has the feeders. Wind chimes, felt birdhouses, and garden art all make great gifts. Are you going to the beach? Then you need sea glass. Sterling silver and sea glass necklaces, earrings, and bracelets. Studio Arts and Glass open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6 on Apple Grove and 77 in North Canton. StudioArtsandGlass.com.
When you list your tag sale with Genuine Estate Services, you will experience professional sorting, researching, staging, pricing, and marketing of your cherished possessions. They have a large staff hosting your sale also, and they are very efficient. Call Eric at 330-206-0974 or log on to Genior, spelled Jenior, estateservices.com for more information.
WHBC and Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Now, here's your host, Paul White.
You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I'm your host and pharmacist, Paul White. This morning, Brad and I are talking with Pam Beller, RN, Director of the Aultman Acute Dialysis Unit. We have a lot more to cover this morning, so let's get back to the show. So, Pam, how about we talk about dialysis and how is it used to treat kidney failure?
Pam, can you hear me okay?
Are you there, Pam? Hello, Pam.
All right, well, I'm going to text her my question and see if she can see that. Pam, can you hear us now? All right, well, maybe we can go to a commercial break and try to fix our technical stuff.
Hi.
Oh, you're there?
Yes,
All right.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, let's talk about dialysis and how it is used to treat kidney failure, Pam.
Okay, well, dialysis is the process to clean the toxins, remove fluids as your normal kidneys do. And so when your kidneys no longer are able to provide the functions, dialysis is considered for the patient. Dialysis is a treatment, all righty? And dialysis is considered a life-sustaining treatment. Once you're in total renal failure, you need to continue with dialysis to sustain life.
So how about dialysis as a cure? Is it a cure for?
There is no cure for kidney failure. There is no cure. Dialysis is used to maintain life. Transplant is also just a form of treatment. There is no cure for renal failure. So transplant's a form of treatment. A lot of transplants will have their transplant for maybe 15, 20 years, maybe less. They go back, they get a rejection, they're back on dialysis to maintain life. So there's really no cure for it.
So how long can we keep a person alive on dialysis?
Okay, well, I have seen over my career time many, many years in patients. I've seen some patients up into the 30-some years. Today, someone can be on for 5, 10, 20 or more years. The length of time depends on age, gender, and other health problems. And how well they followed their treatment plan with their dialysis. You know, skipping dialysis treatments is not good. You accumulate fluids. A lot of those patients think, oh, I'll just I'll skip one. Then they end up in the hospital. We start back over, get everything back to where it is a normal function for them once again. But following your treatment plan is the best to do. It depends on the individual and how they care for themselves and, what they have going on. Usually, as long as you continue dialysis, you really don't die from renal failure. It's usually for other problems like congestive heart failure, different things that go on in your body that can happen to you when you're in renal failure. Okay. And many patients live a long, active, full life. A lot of them work full time. It just depends on how they accept it and what they do with it to be able to live a full life.
How long is a dialysis treatment?
Dialysis treatments vary from patient to patient. Some are on, I would say the average dialysis treatment would be 3 hours. I've seen some people that are only on for 2 hours and 45 minutes, or 2.5 hours 3 times a week. Other patients require 3.5 hours. That's an average time. Patients require 4 hours. I've seen patients require up to 5 hours. It depends on how you follow your treatment, you as an individual. And this is all tested on a monthly basis in the chronic units to see what kind of clearances they're getting to keep them at a normal life state. So that can change from month to month, but normally the sizes of the dialyzer also make a difference in making sure that all the toxins are being removed and stuff like that. Hours and dialyzers make a big difference in sustaining normal function.
So is it once weekly? Is that what you're saying?
No, usually patients are 3 times a week.
Okay.
3 times a week. Some people require 4 times a week, but that's on an individual basis. I've seen patients that might be not in really severe problems with their renal disease, maybe in the higher stages, but having problems with fluid removal. So they may only go once or twice a week just for that extra fluid removal. It's really on an individual basis and what stage and what symptoms you're having. And that's all evaluated by the nephrologist and what the patient needs. Because as time goes on, the kidneys fail farther. Patients may urinate when they first start on dialysis. By the time they're in a year, they may not urinate at all. So that makes a difference in what type of treatment they're getting at that time. Okay.
What about an individual on dialysis? Would they require sort of a major dietary change in what they consume? And the same thing with drugs, prescription drugs. Are they able to take their typical prescription drugs that they were taking before? And I guess you talked about over-the-counter products. Would their over-the-counter input of pain relievers be limited dramatically?
Medications are limited to them, especially the over-the-counter medications. The nephrologist will tell them to follow the what is prescribed on the bottle. Some patients that have issues with hypertension, their medications are adjusted. The nephrologist will use medications that would be the best for the patient. But with the fluid removal of the fluid from the patient, that actually helps manage their blood pressure. I've seen patients with fluid overloads that are on like 3 or 4 medications, but once they start dialysis, they can be taken back to maybe 1 blood pressure med a day, maybe 2. Everybody's an individual, so we have to look at them as individuals and see what works the best for them. Fluid retention is definitely the thing that we have to watch with hypertension, to keep them on the lowest medications we can and decrease it. There are some who are hypertensive, even though they get dialysis. It keeps their pressures down below the 200s, but it does not fix it so that it's what we would consider in the 140s for systolic and 90 and under. They're just chronically hypertensive, so they need lots of meds and the dialysis.
How about someone on dialysis? Can they travel?
Oh, absolutely. The chronic dialysis units out there, they're everywhere. Fresenius Medical Centers, DaVita Medical Centers, there's some other ones. If a patient is a hemodialysis patient and they want to travel, they contact their social worker in their dialysis unit. They will make arrangements for them to receive their dialysis treatments in the nearest dialysis unit that is located where they're vacationing. There are cruises, hemodialysis cruises, so patients can get their hemodialysis on cruises. So it's not impossible. Kind of going overseas and out of the country, I think, is a little trickier to get that done, but they can travel. Home dialysis patients that do peritoneal dialysis or home hemo, and they have a cycler. The PD patients have a cycler. The home hemo patients have a hemodialysis machine. Their supplies can be delivered to where they're staying, and they can continue their home treatment at home. They do get some information sent to local dialysis units that if they run into problems or problems with supplies, they can contact that unit for assistance. And they also get hospitals in that area to go to for assistance. So it's not impossible.
Okay, Pam, let's take our final break here. You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
Saving money is awesome. Saving money on items you actually use? Fantastic. Hi, Paul White for the Half Off on Out by Store in Louisville. If you think you'll find the same low prices, huge variety, or great customer service at any other store, you'd be wrong. Stop into our store in Louisville and see what great deals we have. Follow us on our Facebook page at Half Off Store to see super specials. Why pay full price? Come in and experience the Half Off on Out by Store in Louisville, next to the Medicine Center Pharmacy. When you list your tag sale with Genuine Estate Services, you will experience professional sorting, researching, staging, pricing, and marketing of your cherished possessions. They have a large staff hosting your sale also, and they are very efficient. Call Eric at 330-206-0974 or log on to Genior, spelled Jenior, estateservices.com for more information.
We'd like to remind our listeners our program is also available on our podcast. You can search your favorite podcast app for Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Listen to our program anytime.
I'm a good driver. I look for cars. I pay attention.
Please, look for pedestrians. Stop for them. Think of the impact you could make. A message from the Federal Highway Administration.
Provided by News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Hi, Paul White from the Medicine Center Pharmacy. In these difficult days, please stay calm and make sure your medical and healthcare supplies are well stocked. Make sure you have Kleenex, acetaminophen or Tylenol, ibuprofen or Advil, Mucinex, Robitussin or Dayquil, cough drops, maybe even a humidifier or a vaporizer. You can also just turn the shower on hot and sit in the bathroom breathing in the steam. How about vitamin D and a probiotic? So take care of yourselves and don't stress about the coronavirus. Make sure you get plenty of rest and plenty of healthy food. The Medicine Center Pharmacy, Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia.
The news of the day, every day, on Canton's Morning News with Pam Cook.
Joe Palmisano, as he made the decision to go to Ukraine and go there to help.
This wasn't going to be something you just throw money at and then leave. I knew I had to be a part of this. And then it was all just a matter of, okay, here's the next step. Now I'm in Warsaw, I'm renting this car, I'm driving 4 hours to the border. And then when I get there, I'll figure out what the next step is. It's just unbelievable, the strength of these people. It absolutely blew me away.
1480 WHBC.
Hi, Paul White from the Medicine Center Pharmacy. If you haven't gotten your COVID vaccine shot yet, you've got to get to the Medicine Center Pharmacies in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, or New Philadelphia. We are waiting for you and have vaccine. Call or stop in your closest Medicine Center Pharmacy, and we'll take care of you. Getting a COVID vaccine will save you from getting very sick. So hurry and get on with protecting yourself. The Medicine Center Pharmacies in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia.
You're listening to News Talk 1480 WHBC and Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Now, here's your host, Paul White.
Welcome back to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I'm your pharmacist, Paul White. Thanks for joining us. Let's get back to the last segment of our show. I have one final question on dialysis. What special issues do older adults have who have to face dialysis?
Older adults do face some issues, but I have seen younger adults that have progressive diabetes or heart disease or underlying problems that face the same problems as the older adults do. But risk of dementia is one. Painful dialysis access surgeries, trying to get a fistula or a graft inserted. Their quality of life is the biggest, and that can affect anyone on dialysis, whether you're 25 or 30. Your quality of life, and depending on how you tolerate and what your underlying problems are. Fatigue. A lot of them will have low blood pressures while on dialysis, and dialysis patients do, no matter what age, eventually have cardiac issues. There can be an increase. There is an increase of sudden death and stroke. A lot of these younger adults that have hypertension, that they have hypertensive crises, that come in and they can have a stroke. They can have sudden death due to the hypertension that they have, diabetes they have. So a lot of these patients that have problems are have increased hospitalizations. A lot. We see them a lot. But everybody's an individual, so we can't say that that will only happen in an adult, because I've seen 80 to 90-year-old patients that tolerate dialysis without a problem. Walk into the center, walk out. It's just an individual thing. It depends on what your underlying problems are that causes the issues.
Interesting.
So when does a kidney transplant become necessary, and can you talk about the waiting list?
Okay. Well, kidney transplant is a patient preference. It's not a mandatory thing that anybody can force somebody to do. It is a preference. And if the patient wants to have a kidney transplant, the physician may say, I don't think that you're medically able to do this, but the patient has a right to go to a transplant center, be medically cleared or not cleared. So that right there is the whole thing with that. If you are medically stable and they accept you on it to receive a donor, it could be 5 years on the waiting list now. That has been a large increase over the years, unless you have a donor. If you have a personal donor. Now, you can go to the donor centers. If you have somebody that's willing to donate that doesn't match you, you can talk to them. I've heard that they've been doing, if there's another person that doesn't match the person they want to donate to, but they match you and your donor matches them, they will do that. So there's a lot of things that the donors, the transplants centers are doing. And what the thing of it is just go find out if you are able to be a donor. Anybody can donate a kidney, as long as you pass the transplant evaluation. And if you're willing to say you'll give your kidney, they can put you there. And if you match with somebody, that can happen. Anybody can do it as long as they're evaluated.
Well, that's really interesting, I guess. And of course, you could donate a kidney and still live healthily on your own, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why they run tests on you and make sure that you do not have any underlying problems that will cause renal failure.
Go ahead, Brad. Go ahead.
Well, I guess I was. Go ahead. Sorry.
You're on.
Okay. Well, I've had patients tell me in the pharmacy that sometimes dialysis treatments are very, very tiring or fatiguing to the patient. Is there help for transportation to and from the centers?
Yeah, there is. One I know they use a lot now, ProLine curb to curb surface, and that can all be arranged by Once you're on dialysis, there is a social worker in each dialysis unit that will help you set this up, look for different things. It depends on the patient's insurance if transportation is available to them. So they go through that a lot and help the patients get that set up. But the one I know the most about now is the SARTA ProLine curb to curb. Many families transport their family members, and there are a lot of patients that drive themselves to their treatments and home. So it's an individual thing. A lot of them can be very fatigued and tired. Others function very well after dialysis and can transport themselves. So, but there is help out there. It's just a matter of finding what is available to that individual patient.
The kidneys that are available that people donate, I think it's sort of a thing you sign at your driver's license, or I can't exactly remember where we do that, but multiple places maybe. But there's so many people that pass every year, and their kidneys could be used. And is there not another more effective way to get to people to donate their kidneys, or am I, just shooting in the dark here?
Here at the hospital, we have done donor donations from here. The team comes in, and if the families agree to it, I think a lot of times if we have younger, healthier people that have because you can't have any kidney problems or other problems, they're tested to make sure they don't have these. And then the family can be approached to donate organs. And if they agree to it, then what we do is sustain the patient here. The donor teams come in, harvest the organs, and go on from there. I probably have seen that just happen maybe this last winter. Okay. Not very often does it happen. With donors on the driver's license, I don't know. I know I'm asked each time, if I want to donate. So I don't know the feelings behind it, if it's just non-knowledge of it. And somehow maybe we could get that knowledge out there that, if you are in a car accident and you're healthy, but you're not going, your kidneys can be used elsewhere, hearts and lungs can. There's a lot of transplant options there.
Stat that I saw or read about is that 12 people die every day from failure to get a kidney transplant, which is just kind of staggering.
Yeah.
Well, sad, eh?
Yeah, it is. I've seen a lot of it over the years.
Sure.
Can you touch on how family or even friends can help support patients that are going through dialysis? Because it kind of sounds like it's a whole nother job, if you will.
Oh, yeah. That's what
I mean, the disruption to your daily life has got to be pretty significant. I don't think we appreciate that until you're probably going through it.
Right. Absolutely. It is. That's what we tell the patients. I tell my patients, just consider your dialysis treatment your job, because it is very hard for those in-center hemo patients to get into that routine of I've got to be there Monday, Wednesday, Friday at a certain time, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at a certain time to get my treatments. So emotional support is the biggest thing that family and friends can do. A lot of dialysis patients will get depressed. I would. Stop and think about it. My whole life's been thrown up. The roles, if it's the husband that is on dialysis, you have young children at home, the roles of what happens in the home. So there is a lot of emotional and psychological problems that go on. I do not have anything against them reaching out to get counseling to help that change, because that's very devastating to the person that's taking on the new roles, the patient that, is taking on his or her disease, helping them maintain their diet, fluid intake, make sure they get their medications, and also make sure they get to their dialysis treatments and back. That's a biggie, a big thing that a lot of people, like you were saying, don't have transportation. So they just skip their treatments.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy. So, I mean, there is a lot of things that go on in the household, in the family, that needs a lot of emotional support. And I know they've asked for, like different support groups and stuff like that. I did reach out to the chronic units. When Aultman owned their own chronic dialysis unit, we had a support group that I was part of. Right now, they have a virtual Zoom meetings. It's called the Kidney Patient Education and Support Group meetings. They meet the first Tuesday of every month from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And there is some contact information that I can send to you that you could put on the radio or on your site, that they can contact certain people by email or by phone to get involved in this.
Guess what, Pam? We're out of time.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry to cut you off. Okay.
That's all right.
Sorry.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Pam Beller, RN, Director of Aultman Acute Dialysis. Issue, please contact your healthcare provider. Thanks to our sponsors, Studio Arts and Glass and Genier Appraisals and Liquidations. As always, we thank our listeners for joining us on Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.